That Gaming Pro, Silver Potato, Dog Jack Joe, and Batman all ask the same question. When and how did you first discover Getaway Shootout? If I remember correctly, I played it for the first time around late 2020 or 2021. I didn't like the game at all back then, honestly. I was more hooked on another IO game, but in 2022 I realized Crunker.io was their dying game, and I tried to try some new games, specifically fun movement based ones. After having tried Rooftop Snipers in the past, I saw GS was a game with a relatively undeveloped speedrun scene, and that the channel I made to upload runs on merely became a fun pastime or a side project. I'm really happy to see that 200 people, as I said before, really like the stuff shown here. It's a very big number. Anyways, I started getting more involved with this community, becoming a speedrunner.com moderator in the process, and I'm happy to have been able to establish contact with Pat, the developer, so that the player base can get what it wants in the future. Badman asks now, how long after that did you start speedrunning? I played GS casually with friends for like a month or two, or at least 3 weeks. And towards the end of those weeks, I remember absolutely like flying to the finish once on train, everyone does, and thinking, wow, that must have been really fast. But at that time, I didn't know that like 10 other people were already had better times than me on speedrun.com, and that they could do this consistently. So after checking speedrun.com for the first time, I did a one-player office run. That was my first ever GS speedrun. I remember the half an hour I spent grinding for like just good luck, honestly. Back then I was pretty hyped because I got a world record without that much effort, and I thought I'd continue to try get more records in this game. There wasn't much competition back then anyways. In your opinion, what was the craziest run you've ever had? Okay, it's tough to pick a favorite one, but for me, it's either the current 3 maps 1-player record or the 3 maps 2-player solo record. The 1-player record was crazy because not only did I get what was probably the fastest ever completion of Getaway Shootout ever in 1-player, recorded or not, but I also tied the fastest ever completion of 1-player bus in that world record, which I also held at that time. For 2-player solo, I wasn't exactly happy with the run because I missed a small jump. But since I saved the computer thinking that it must have been sub 40, but not lower than the record at the time, 39.3, I remember opening the speedrun retimer I used and absolutely losing my shit when I thought that I had not only gotten the record, but also the first ever sub 39. Something that I was pretty sure nobody could do anyways, let alone me. I think that category still has a lot of work to be done, but the 5 or so months I spent grinding for the record in the first place, I'll probably never do it again. What are some of the craziest runs by other players? I think Farming Jojo references 2-player solo 3 maps time was really crazy for the time. Not only did it break the last 10-second barrier, it left me struggling for 5 months to try and regain the record. Walrus Cakes Jr. first ever sub 9 on bus. That was also pretty crazy. This is the most recent one. He discovered a consistent setup to jump over the bus, and this basically killed the map, speedrunning wise, after we both optimized it while battling for the record. Badman's former 3 maps record. 3 maps 1-player is the main category, by the way. It's the thing you see on the front page of speedrun.com. So in January 2024, he broke a nearly 2-year-old record, which many saw as unbeatable at the time. But this time he also used a new strategy where you wait on office for a minute or two so you can start first on the next map and get a head start. The timing here only starts on the first input, not when you load it to the game. How much time do you spend playing GS? That's a good question. I think back then it was normal for me to sink 1.5 to like 2 hours a day into the game. On the days that really grind, it would be max 3 hours. After that, you just get bored with the game. Now I unfortunately find it a bit more boring to play the game because I spend most of my time resetting and refreshing the game for the right map or the right weapons to do a speedrun. So I only have the patience to do maximum an hour or like 3/4 of an hour of GS. Also, school has gotten more and more hectic over time, so I obviously have to focus on that sometimes more than getting GS records. What's your favorite map and character? So I always had a soft spot for like bus or the street map. Hitting bus skips are some of my fondest memories of playing GS, and many records are made or broken at this level. As far as characters go, when speedrunning, I only play standard Steve, so my brain is only wired to locate where his character and where his feet is, so I just know where to jump or go next. When I have to play with another character, I usually pick Baller or Pilot or Navy Peep. I think those three look very nice. I would also pick Fatman, but I haven't owned that character that much in the past. Badman asks, when I started playing, one of the first records I broke was your one-player office record by letting the boss push me into the elevator in the first place. Have there been any other times when a player used a crazy new strategy to beat one of your records? As I said before to the question about crazy records, Walrus Cake Jr. absolutely went out of his way to create a whole new meta for bus time trial, which eventually led to the final second barrier being broken. Therefore, I'm obviously extremely impressed with those runs, and I hope that he gets many more prestigious records, which I hopefully can eventually beat soon. Also, don't forget the long-fought battle that we both had over Moon Time Trial. I thought that was absolutely legendary, and it was really fun to see such a skilled player. How do you rate this song in GS? Honestly, I don't like it that much. However, the few times I played with audio, I found myself giving it a strong 7 out of 10. The energy within the track shows beautifully in the game sometimes while playing, and I think that if a game had to have one soundtrack, this was the perfect one for this game. Red Forge, who made this track, truly knows how to make music, and I hope new soundtracks come out sometime whenever Patrick decides to ask them for more. What's the best and worst weapon? Sniper is definitely the greatest of all time. It's not even a question, actually. No other weapon feels that nice. It's a one-shot, and yeah. For the worst, it's definitely the SMG for me. It doesn't feel that tactile or clicky for me, and you need to hit like 7 shots to go kill the player. But this could also just be me hating on automatic weapons, because I honestly just don't like them. Skidos asks, how long do you think my 10 kill record is gonna last? For context, what Skidos did was basically like, he spawned into office, got pushed by the bots to the first weapon, which is already pretty rare. That weapon was a sniper. He gets 2 collaterals, which already give him 6 kills. And then, while he is standing there, the next weapon that spawns is also a sniper, and that's like a 1% chance, which is awfully lucky. If school doesn't get too hectic for me this calendar year, I'd say that it would last 1 or 1.5 years more. It's just a lot of resetting and grinding involved. It's a very strong run schedule, I will tell you that. I just don't have time, and when I do, I'd much rather do something else than just keep resetting GS. I will try to get every record again this December again, though. So stay on your feet. Which map idea would you want to be added the most? In case you guys didn't know, if you visit the server, which you can find in my channel links, there's a Google form where you can just submit ideas, and me and the developer will check them every now and then, or whenever the developer's online, because he's the guy that actually codes the game. I'm just here to manage the community. Anyways, Fabled Foxtrot's idea of a boat map feels absolutely perfect to me. A shaking ship with, non-random camera shaking feels absolutely perfect to me. And the ship could have different floors or levels, so it could also be like a longer map similar to what we see in Launchpad or Terminal. I also want to see what Pat's idea of a sailor is. Fabled Foxtrot doesn't make that much GS content anymore, but if you like Minecraft content, I highly recommend you go check him out. And also, last question from Skidos. Did you beat an elderly man to death in 2013 in Norrbotten County, Sweden, at 10:39 p.m. in Nautial? I don't want to comment that. What do you see the future of GS looking like? And this is a question from Fable Foxtrot. As I will elaborate on in the coming questions, I think creating a map editor or a map browser for GS is definitely the best way to bring the game forward. GS should ideally have a greater focus on the competitive side of the game, because the way the casual gameplay works right now, it's fun, but it also still needs some work. I just think that the competitive side could use a lot more tweaking. I'm really happy with the time trial, but more integration with speedrunning or dueling games would massively improve the replayability and longevity of the game as a whole. When did you start your channel, and when did it start getting popular? Popular is a strong word, but I guess 200 subs is a pretty big number. Whatever. If you check my oldest video on the channel, you'll see that I uploaded some Asphalt 9 content. It's not really content, it's just me playing the game, and rewatching the videos makes me feel really trash at the game. I probably could try play it again, but I doubt you guys will want to watch that. I think my channel only took off in like March 2024 after I got the 2-player solo record. I had a good thumbnail on that video, pretty nice records to watch in the video, and good clickbait. And now I just had to keep the audience and try and grow, you know. When will you take back the rooftop snipers world record? So this question was asked by Henri. He's the current rooftop snipers record holder. He has the first ever sub 30 in the history of the game. Yeah, that's actually crazy. I just want to say that there's no way I'm taking back the record right now. I'll take stuff one step at a time. I'll try finish, or if it's even possible to finish, speedrunning Getaway Shootout, and then I'll probably pivot to other games. And if a JS record gets broken, I'll grind that, and then I'll only continue with other stuff. Hamzi also asks, do you have a different game to recommend to me, except, Getaway Shootout? I like 0 to 7 minute long games with a simple animation style. If you like short games, you should probably check out the games by Havana24. He makes fun short games that almost always are speedrunnable. So if you have my Discord, I can invite you to a server. Okay, now some questions from the biggest Getaway Shootout YouTuber, Doc Jack Joe. You guys could definitely go check him out if you guys know some Spanish, that is. So he asks, first question, what's your favorite food? I'm Indian, so it's tough to pick just one food I like. Overall, I'd say like doshas and parotas. I started getting bored of rice like a really long time ago. So like everyone else in the Western world, I like the flatbreads. I can't really say anything about Western food since my only reference points are like restaurants in my school, and we don't really cook that much outside of Indian food at home. It's mostly just pre-packaged food if we ever eat anything outside of Indian food. What's your favorite color, and do you have a pet? For favorite color, I'll just tell you to check my profile picture. I used to like orange and green, but once I got older, I'm not that old, but whatever, I realized that those colors are absolutely trash with blue. But nowadays I find myself liking purple as well, and black is always such a clean quote-unquote color. Do you have a pet? No, and I probably won't ever, since pets are sometimes a chore and at times pretty unpredictable. I don't like it when stuff is unpredictable. If I had to get one, it would probably be a small cat, although I have nothing against dogs. Do you have any favorite movies or shows? I'm not big into shows, but I'm not really a movie watcher either. But I have a soft spot for complex storylines. This probably made me like a massive Christopher Nolan glazer. My favorite movie by him is definitely Interstellar, with Oppenheimer being a close second. I went and watched Oppenheimer in the theater. It was crazy. I don't really watch superhero movies, sadly, but I did absolutely love The Dark Knight. I have a Letterboxd account. You guys can just search up my username, so you can check that out if you want. Will you make a better version of Getaway Shootout? And are you a gigger? That word sounds really wrong. Whatever. I think the game is great as it is, and even if coding the game would be something I could find fun, I would probably not find the designing or the art part fun. I think that's best left to Pat. I'm happy with being somebody that just manages and communicates for the entire community. Also, I am not a gigger, if whatever that is. Were you the one that got caught edging to GS in the back of class? That's a bit dumpster. You didn't have to bring that up. I'll just go to the next question. Am I your favorite son? This one was by Jayception. I'll just say that I was unaware I had children. Maybe if you go get a good 3 maps time, I might re-own you someday. I don't know. What's the easiest and hardest map to speedrun? Train will always be the easiest map, I think. However, Moon or Launchpad are definitely two of the hardest maps to speedrun. Moon is just a pain to grind, honestly. I'm currently grinding 2-player solo and 1-player, thanks to some classic insane luck by Skittles. And Launchpad is, it's just a hard map. Jayception asks, how long does it take to get a good run? It depends on what you define a good run as. For me, world record or anything really, really close is the only thing that's enough. I've beaten the record like first try in the past, but in those cases they're always pretty weak ones. And the most I've had to grind a record is, as I said earlier, for JoJo is like nearly 5 months. However, if you were listening closely, you might remember that Skittles asked when his frustratingly lucky 10 kills record will fall. I don't know, but I think that one will last the longest time, apart from some of my records. What's it like to be in Sweden? It's cold. Not anymore, but it's still cold. Jokes aside, it's pretty nice here. I don't feel like moving away anytime soon, at least until I finish my education. Also, most of my contacts live here, and I feel more okay with the society here. What is the average weight of a Getaway Shootout speedrunner? I'm 54 kilos, so I probably bring down the average. I like to imagine that the average GS speedrunner is a male American teenager. So if I check Google, it says 126 pounds or 57 superior units. What features do you want Patrick to add? Ranked time trial or 1-player multiplayer and a map editor or browser is all I ask for. After that, the game might not need any more updates. And the ability to pick a map to start on any mode. This vastly improves the speedrun experience for anybody speedrunning 1-player or 2-player. Will the game have a creating mode that allows players to create their own levels? I haven't really discussed this with Patrick. By him I mean the dev once again. And I think in the current state of the game, a map editor is the best way to go, rather than risking to fail trying to make multiplayer. Also, the game is kind of dying, or the game does go into dying periods after an update, and there is no contact from the developer. Do you think New Age games should add new weapons, maps, character features, or something else? I think that character features should never be a thing. It just makes stuff way harder. Even if it were a thing eventually, I just ban it from speedrunner.com since it becomes like a problem for everybody. More weapons are always better, I think, as long as they don't feel redundant or like the same thing. For example, a pure shockwave weapon or like a slowdown or a high gravity gun would be a very fun idea. Maps should be added, but in my opinion, after 10 or so maps, there's no point making anymore, and it's just safer to work on a map editor so that the users cannot do the hard work themselves. Another part of GS I like to see developed is the 2-player gameplay. Many people get into GS by 1v1ing their friends, and if there were extra modes or like customizations added, 1v1s could become more fun and GS would have way more replayability. Also, as I said earlier, a built-in time trial leaderboard with a small anti-cheat would also be great. For Terminal, is it more risky to go to the top route, or should we play it safe and go to the bottom? Or does it depend on skill level? I mean, everything just depends on skill level. If you're playing 1-player and you trust yourself to hit the first few jumps without falling down too much, sure, go for it. But if you're 1v1ing a friend who is better than you, or is, like moderately skilled at the game, and they're also going for the skip, you should definitely try stop them. The reward for risking the shortcut is super high if you have even a little bit of skill. Just make sure at the end you don't lose time on trying to enter the hatch. Rank all New Age games. Okay, number 1, we know what I'm gonna say. Getaway Shootout. Then we have Ping Pong Chaos, Tube Jumpers, Rooftop Snipers, House of Hazards, and Juggo Master. If you guys haven't heard of Juggo Master, it's like a really laggy game that Patrick made a long time ago, and you can find it if you search up New Age Games Congregate. If you could add one thing to GS, what would it be? A non-laggy map editor with sharing features, and I think this could happen fairly soon if stuff goes right. Why is Jayception such a House of Hazards glazer? If you were the number one player at the game, you'd also glaze it a ton. House of Hazards is not my cup of tea, however. Favorite Reginald quote? There's too many to choose from. It's definitely the one where he rejects poor Dumpster's plea for friendship. I'll show an image right now on screen. What would you rate Reginald? And are you in love with him? Honestly, I think he's way more than 10 out of 10. But honestly, it's just out of my league. Can you do a face reveal? No, bro. I'm already feeling really worried by using my voice in this video. Dumpster asks, do you want explicit GS pictures? I already have some. Are you fat? No, I said I was like 54 kilos. I'd say I'm kinda short though.